Hello everyone, welcome to Knowledge India once again. In the next video of FINOPS series, we will try and understand the differences between cloud native services and cloud hosted services and how does it really affect the commercial part of cloud usage. So we will try and really understand that when you actually go ahead and use these services, in what way the cost gets affected for your organization. We'll also try to take some examples and discuss that. Okay, so we're talking about cloud native or cloud managed services. Sometimes you hear those terms, either cloud native or cloud managed, and we're comparing it with a cloud hosted service or self-managed service, right? So those are the terms which you see. So let's take an example for cloud native service or cloud managed service. These are the services which are fully managed by the cloud provider, right? Or come out of the box from cloud provider. So these are services like, let's say, DynamoDB, S3, SQS, SNS, right? These are the services which are fully cloud native. It's like if you are using these services, you don't need to manage anything about these services. You don't need to worry about the scalability of these services, right? So let's say if you want to go ahead and store 5 TB data on S3, you don't need to plan for it really, right? You don't need to plan for the backend database, or sorry, for the backend infrastructure of S3. Same way, if you are using SQS or you are using DynamoDB, you don't need to really worry about the whole scalability, security part of it, right? It scales well, it is secure. All of those things are just inbuilt. You can go ahead and start using it out of the box, and you don't need any management as such on day-to-day basis for these services. Like you don't need any backend management or administration service. You don't need administrators who need to go and manage these services for you, right? You can just go ahead and use them out of the box. On the other hand, if you look at certain examples like self-deployed databases on cloud, let's say you go ahead and install a Cassandra database on EC2 instance, right? Cassandra DB, if you go ahead and install that. Or for that matter, you just take a SQL Server database which you install on an EC2 instance, or Apache MQ instance which you have deployed on an EC2 instance. When you do these things, yes, you are able to go ahead and use them. You have a lot of control on it, but you need to have administrators who can go ahead and do that database administration, or you need administrators who can go ahead and do that software administration. That's very important, right? So those are the two examples. Now let's try to quickly write down what are the positives and negatives in both the cases, right? So for the first one, which is like, for your cloud native services or cloud managed services, which we are calling, what are the positives and negatives? The positive thing is that lower engineering cost. Think about this. You can go ahead and use S3 at like really low price, right? So you can go ahead and use S3, but you as a customer, you do not have to really put all the investment in building that S3, right? In building that S3 service, all the engineering effort which has gone, you as a customer need not put it. Cloud service provider has done that investment. They are constantly innovating on their services, and you can just go ahead and use it. So the overall engineering cost to build that service is like very low or nearly negligible for you as a customer. Lower operational cost. You don't need any administrator who has to manage your DynamoDB database or S3 buckets and things like that, right? You don't need an administration or an administrator person for that. So lower operational cost, better scalability. We all know that, these services which are cloud native, the scalability thing or the scalability feature is already built into them by default. So if you just go ahead and use them, things will scale. That's how it is, right? You don't need to really go and worry about the backend infrastructure. Automated security. Most of these services are really developed in such a way that they are secure by nature, and you consume them via standard model, mostly via APIs, right? They for all these services, APIs are exposed for each and every operation. You just consume them in that standard way, and they are inherently secure. The sixth and last point there is fine-grained cost segregation. You can actually go ahead and really break down the cost and say, like, which application is using how much of DynamoDB, or another application is using X amount of DynamoDB, right? You can really segregate the cost to a very, very fine-grained level, and you can say who is using how much of database, who is using how much of S3 storage, and all such type of things. But on the negative side, generally, what is seen here is that the code might be difficult to port to another cloud provider. Let's say you have written an application today in Java or .NET, and in that you have used all the APIs of DynamoDB or S3. And let's say now if you have to move this application to Azure, right, or to GCP, then in that case, like Azure and GCP will have their own, will have their own managed databases, or blob storage, things like that, right? So you need to change your code. So changing the code takes effort at that time. So that can be seen as one negative thing. The other negative thing could be that lesser control to do any custom stuff, because for all these managed services, you do not get access to the operating system, right? For example, you cannot go ahead and say, AWS, please give me access to the operating system where your S3 service is hosted, or give me access to the operating system of those machines which actually build your DynamoDB, right? Or even for your RDS for that matter. So you cannot go ahead and get access to the OS level, and hence very lesser control is there to do anything custom, right? Just in contrast to this, if you see for cloud hosted or self-managed things, it is just kind of opposite, right? So look at all the negative things. When you go ahead and build your own service, or let's say you have just taken a service and you are just hosting it on cloud, but you are managing it on your own. That's why the term self-managed. Here self means customer. Customer is managing that service. So in that case, engineering cost would be higher. Let's say you want to build reliability, you want to build fault tolerance in that service, you want to make it highly scalable. So for all such things, your engineering cost increases. You need to plan and build all of that, or maybe you will buy it from a software vendor, right? But in any case, you end up paying a lot of money for that. Higher operational cost. You need to have your, let's say, database administrator, or a particular Apache MQ administrator, let's say, right? So you need more and more of such people who can actually manage that software, and hence higher operational cost. You are limited in terms of scalability, because yes, you can go ahead and even on cloud you can do auto scaling and everything, but not every software is built to first support that auto scaling group, let's say. That is first part. And even if you do that, it's a thing which you need to go ahead and configure, and you need to say that, okay, on these factors you scale out and scale in, etc., etc. Whereas for all the managed services, most of the times the scalability is built in, and by default it works right out of the box. The security is just as good as the person or the administrator who is managing that software knows the security. Let's say you have deployed a database on an EC2 instance. It could be really secure, or it could be in bad shape. It really depends how well your DB is doing the task. Whereas if you are going with an Amazon RDS, right, for every RDS instance, same set of security standards get deployed in the start, or get deployed by default. Point number 5 is that consumption model also differs, right? Depending on what service you are installing on an EC2 instance, its consumption model would differ. Whereas for most of the cloud native services, there is mostly just one consumption model. Services are exposed via APIs. You call API and just build your software or build your application, right? And the last thing, and which is very important from cost perspective or from FinOps perspective, is that most of the times with these services, the cost segregation might not be that straightforward. Let's say you have a database which you have installed on an EC2 instance, and that database is now used by 4 applications. it is most of the times quite difficult to figure out which application is using how much. And hence cost segregation becomes difficult. And if you remember, we talked in the last video that FinOps is all about cost attribution to the correct place, right? We want to clearly post or clearly say that where did we spend how much money. So those are the comparisons, right? Now, or basically what's the difference between them? There is some positive on here and some positive on the other end. So the question would be, which one should we go ahead and try to use? It's recommended that you try and use cloud native services as much as possible. Why so? Because because you are saving a lot of things. First, we already discussed that the engineering cost is low for the service, and you are able to use the service and a lot of its good features out of the box. So with cloud native services, you get better cost segregation and lesser management is there, or lesser management is required by your team. You can have lesser number of people and still things would work. Whereas if you go with the cloud hosting model, which many people do, what they say is we'll pick up a software which is quite open source, let's say, and we will go ahead and host it on EC2 instances on cloud, so that tomorrow if we want to move to Azure or GCP, we will be able to just move that software to a VM on Azure or GCP, right? That type of discussion or that type of suggestion you would have heard. So cloud hosting, or just putting your software in a self-managed way on a VM on cloud, it just shifts your services from your data center to AWS. How you are managing that service in a data center, now you are managing it on a VM on cloud. That's all you have done, right? So in order to do the whole management of that service, which means building the reliability, scalability of the service, you still need to do a lot of work. It is still your responsibility. Whereas with the cloud native services, you get it built out of the box. So to summarize here, if you are using in your application more and more of cloud native services, you can actually go ahead and reduce human effort on your side, and you can end up saving money in the long run because you are able to innovate and actually iterate faster. You are able to build next version of your software faster, and you have lesser management on your plate. I hope you understood that part. So next time when you are designing an architecture, or go ahead and try to ask this question, that am I making the best use of all the cloud native services which are available from AWS, and based on that evaluate your architecture. We'll meet again in the next video tomorrow, and we'll talk more about other factors in the FinOps side. Thank you, and if you're liking it, please share it as well. Thank you.